from their encounters with races from other planets. The information is the activation. Let's awaken this world together. We are the forever students, and we will not be silent. We are the ones that we've been waiting for. Pretty wild. Welcome, everybody, to Full Spectrum Universe. My name is Rob Yox. We are the Embattled Broadcast, and you know what we do here. Welcome, first off. But we are the ones who are exploring humanity's potentials, studying the past, but also while remaining in the present and dictating the terms of our future. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I hope everybody likes the new graphic. I see Jason is here, Nina, Prince, Andromedan. So tonight is the beginning, right? We're beginning something a little bit new tonight. And I'm excited for this because every now and again we get a lot of information of what's happening out there spiritually. So what are some of the things that we really need to focus on is the fundamentals and how knowing this stuff that's happening out there and how it affects us here. So we're going to go back into the beginnings, right? We're going right back to basics tonight. Tonight is the introduction to a new series that we're putting together. It's going to be about 7 or 8 episodes, and it's the fundamentals of who we are. Again, fundamentals of who we are, because understanding these principles and then going back into the higher echelon information gives us a different understanding, a different perspective, and a different way of moving through these spiritual events within our lives to empower us, humanity, that we are the future and we are the ones who are dictating it. We have been, we always will be. I think I have to go this way. There we go. We have been, we always will be. And right now, within this present time, our duty here on this earth, in this third dimensional reality, is to give those around us the ability of garnering that power for themselves. So that is what we're doing here. So please share this out, like this video. Also subscribe if you haven't. We have memberships are open. You can become a member, support the broadcast. You get a special badge, and I will definitely, those are the questions that kind of get read first most of the time. Also, becoming a member, we have discounts for all the events that we do. And really, we have a lot going on right now. The next workshop is in the works right now. We're gathering information for that. By the end of this week, I should have a link for everybody, and it'll be out in 3 weeks' time. It's going to be $25 a ticket, 10% off if you are a regular person. If you are a member, you get 20% off that ticket sale price. I don't charge a lot for those, but this is the most important one out of the bunch. This one is going to be all about healing traumas. Now, to get to who we are and to flourish within ourselves and get that inner and understanding, the first thing we have to do is resolve past life, present life, and possibly future life traumas. We're going to give you the tools to indicate those traumas. We're going to give you the tools to resolute those traumas. We're going to give you the tools to stem off or ward off future attempts at these traumas. Very, very informative, very important. So tonight we're talking about extra-dimensional versus multi-dimensional, and we're going to talk about the multi-dimensional self and what that really means. We're going to break it down. And then each night after this, which is basically starting through the densities, which is first density, second density, third density, all the way up to the seventh and eighth density, we're going to see what that means within our multi-dimensional self, symbolically, metaphorically, but also literally, right? So we're going to take each dimensional density and bring it into our consciousness and understand how our multidimensional selves interact with that specific density, what the properties of that density are within ourselves, and how we get to that point. This is super important. So if you have friends or family who are on the fence about learning this specific stuff, these are going to be the videos to send out to people and say, hey, I've actually started to understand some new information. Please take a moment, look at it, and tell me what you think, right? Let's get into talking about this together. This is a way for you to bridge the gap of your perception to somebody else's perception, especially within families, to bring them closer to so that they understand what you're actually talking about, but how you're actually perceiving the universe around you. This could be a tremendous tool moving forward, which is why we're doing this series right now. As of late, we've gone over a lot of different types of information, and I know that tonight was supposed to be about third density contact, but I thought this more important. Third density contact will come after this series. I have it all ready to go. I may throw it in there somewhere and take a break from the series once we're doing 8 episodes in a row, which is a good one. We've gone over a lot of that stuff before. But tonight, we're talking about multidimensional selves. We're diving deeper into what that truly means. There's going to be a chart within the slideshow tonight that is going to explain exactly what we're going to be doing moving forward. Now, this is just for this specific series here, and then we'll get back to some of the more higher echelon information. But this is going to give us a better way to perceive that information as it comes in. So let us start with the information, because information above everything is what we capitalize here. It's what we pride ourselves with. So extradimensional versus multidimensional. Multi-dimensional. Sorry, the intro into the fundamentals of who we are. This is the beginning of it. To understand the multidimensional self is to give us an insight into how to break down the different levels of density inside of us, right? And what we're truly made of, but also where we reside on the density spectrum, right? So one of the things we start with is my opening salvo, as we always do. And as you can see here, there are clocks, which is the multi-dimensional universe, and how we reside within this multi-dimensional universe. A lot of understanding went into this specific um, presentation, because some of it is my information, other is information sourced from different areas. And really, what we're talking about here is how our higher self is the connector to source. And we are a fractal of the entirety of a soul, right? So our soul or consciousness is on this third dimensional reality. And this specific dimensional reality is just a fragment of the entirety. Now, there are other fragments that are scattered across all of the dimensional universes that are out there, some of which are present to this day, some of which no longer exist. But we were or are there, right? So, how do we contact those portions of ourselves that are parts of the greater whole? We use our higher self. Now, we're going to break this down a little bit further in what the multidimensional aspect of it means. But I wanted to be upfront and simplifying this as we're doing this, right? And Shannon is right on the money here. The more we work on our multidimensionality, the more we can soar through the different densities. Exactly. Exactly right. And this is why we are going over this information. We've absorbed, especially from this specific channel, right? And I'm not trying to pat myself on the back, but I believe this is one of the most integral and most important broadcasts on all of the internet. Now, why would I say that about my own broadcast? Well, first off, it's my own broadcast, right? I think the work we're doing is important. But second, it's again not to pat myself on the back. I think this helps us explore the dimensional reality that we are, and we are an embattled broadcast. YouTube doesn't like us. They don't promote our videos, which means that we're probably on to something that's true or correct. When that happens and YouTube stifles programs, they are usually over the target. Now, again, I don't have all the answers, nor do I sit up here and pontificate that I do. But an exploration into these explanations gives us an ability to have a robust conversation of all the different understandings of how this universe works and how we work within the universe, right? There is no absolute science that says what is what. So now we have to use our gut and discernment and our meditative predispositions to essentially figure it out. We're problem solving, and we're doing that in action right now. So I love all of you. I hope that this broadcast resonates with you, and I hope that we have done a great service to everybody by bridging the gaps and bringing like-minded peoples together, and even not like-minded peoples together, to have these robust conversations. That is our goal. That is our mission. That is our duty to who we are as cognitively thinking consciousness, and actually ascending on this path of awakening as we speak. So let us dive into the foray of info. What is multidimensionality? What does this mean? Well, I'm going to tell you. So, discussing basic levels of comprehending the particle layers of our station of identity in the first 7 layers that exist in the third dimensional layers of our being, with primary focus on what we call the 3 layers of ego is one way we could talk about this, but this is more basic and a primer understanding of our 3D consciousness state that exists multidimensionally and that interfaces with the planetary body. And it's what we identify as our self in the material world. There will be a lot of standard information that we're going to be interweaving into this presentation with some newer information to help us give a multidimensional primer and a greater awareness of the connecting aspects of our mind that function within the multidimensional energetic self. So, in our journey of ascension and through our own direct experiences and process, we have found that there seems to be not enough information available on the specific topic to help us truly understand that we are not only energetic beings, but we are multidimensional beings as well. We have levels and components that exist on a multidimensional level that connect with conscious energies that interface again with the planetary body. So as we start to expand our consciousness, we start to have a better understanding of our multidimensional and energetic selves. And we begin to perceive the larger energies in the collective consciousness that we connect with. This is in order to utilize our multidimensional body. And we have to understand that it exists. Then we start to be able to utilize our multidimensional layers by even connecting just to the mental process that are involved in knowing that that this actually exists and that it's actually connecting with the planetary body and the consciousness body so that we can focus our attention on the higher knowledge of our multidimensionality and we can direct our energies into the higher frequencies. And this takes place on levels of awareness that are beyond our conscious mind and are beyond our conscious view as well. So our consciousness travels beyond the third dimensional consciousness mind station of this identity or view. And we can begin to perceive this multidimensionality, right? So, just starting to begin to understand some of the workings of our multidimensional structure and the anatomy of the soul allows us to start to work and connect with these levels of being and begin to consciously direct those energies in terms of our own alignment to a divine purpose or a divine will and of truly our soul's purpose, right? One of the things that we've repeated time and time again is that we are not aware of certain components of our energy fields. And if we have no understanding of that consciousness body and what holds its true power, we will have no way to access it. This is what it means to anchor our consciousness inside of our body and hold our spiritual power as multidimensional beings. So, first, we need to have an understanding of our structural anatomy or energy anatomy and how those multidimensional layers are comprised. So, as we start to work with this multidimensional context more and more, we start to become more in command of ourselves. We gain self awareness and we begin to sense our vastness. And then we're able to utilize those energetic levels of ourselves in service to our soul's growth. Also, our personal sphere of influence increases in service to the greater good, and we evolve to be a force of goodness in a world at large. So, I'm going to take a breath here because that was a lot right off the bat. So, if there's any questions in the chat, please put it in all caps lock so I can understand what you're asking and I can read it to everybody as well. Sugarbee, I see you're there. Good to see you. Pamela, nice. Shannon has made it. Great to see everybody. So let's get into this chart here. This chart is the chart that we're going to be using to base the next episodes off of. This is the structure of the chakra system, of our auric field, but also of our multi-dimensional self, right? We have the root, which is first density. We have the sacral, which is second density. Third is the solar plexus. Fourth is the heart. Fifth is the throat. Sixth is the brow. And seventh is the crown. Our chakra system is a direct correlation to our multi-dimensionality. I see Omar's here. Good to see you, brother. Love you so much. Keep doing what you're doing. So, this is where we're focusing now, right? Let's dive in a little bit more. It's really useful to have a basic model of our multidimensional identity in order to gain sovereignty over the process that's associated with the levels of our multidimensional mind, right? So for this reason, we're providing this useful primary base model of 7 that was used in the first dispensation of ascension material on this earth. And this was done at the turn of the century, and it's hosted by a couple of energetic lines or grids on this planet. So most of you that may be more familiar with the work that we've done and that we use the guardian host 12 base math or 15 multi-dimensional base model. But for right now and for this evening, in terms of introduction, we want to sit with a much more familiar, which is the 7 primary layers, as the first stage of comprehending our multidimensional anatomy. So the first 7 layers are the particle layers, in which the first human physicalized layers that include the basic 7 primary chakra system. And most people within the New Age movement will have received information about these first 7 primary chakras and the 3D chakras that we are all born with in the first density, right? So, what we're trying to do is we're trying to connect each of those chakra layers to the layers of the mind matrix that exist in each of those chakra patterns so that you're working with your chakra and then you take the next step to connecting that chakra to the frequency of the mind matrix. And the mind matrix is an intelligent force that functions with particular chakras, and it's literally recorded within the characteristics and the attributes that connect with your specific unique energetic signature. So as you connect to this information, you become more empowered with knowledge of how your mind actually works. And you feel this is important. This is an important point of exchanging knowledge and sharing the dialogue of this specific information. So the beginning of development or developing self-sovereignty in the human being starts with the comprehension of these forces and how it's possible that they're being manipulated or collected by other forces within the environment. And if we do not know our own body's work, and if those energies and aspects of our own identity that we are not aware of exist or known that we have a connection with, then the other energies that surely become aware that these particle aspects of our consciousness body, we are not using them, and they become subjugated, and they become prone to energy manipulation or energy siphoning. And it takes us out of our spiritual center, and it takes us away from our internal vital force and consciousness energy, which is why we're bringing awareness to this. And it's given to us in our divine inheritance to utilize for our highest soul purpose and of creative manifestation in service not only to ourselves, but to all others on the planet as well, because we are all a great collective. So now we're going to approach the title, which is extra dimensional versus multi-dimensional, and what this means, right? And how we truly get things from elsewhere, but also right here, right? And it's incredible to understand that once we connect with that multi-dimensional side of ourselves, it becomes this inherent gift that has been given to us by our creator, and then we spread it to others. And that is really what we're trying to accomplish here. This is all to be given away because it is empowerment, and empowerment comes from understanding. And we're going to go into stations of identity later on, which what Pamela is saying, and we're going to take it from there as well. And these explanations that we're going to go into with this series are absolutely paramount to understanding ourselves, which in turn helps us understand others, which then brings us to the collective, right? And puts us in service to the collective, which is why this material is so imperative to go over time and time again. And I know we've repackaged certain things of this nature time and time again because to go back to basics is to bring us back to the centers, to root ourselves in the understanding of it. It's important. So, multidimensional consciousness is the ability to be conscious of more than one dimension. To me, to be multidimensional in our consciousness, we must remember that we have within us the potential to expand our perceptual awareness to the dimension above and below our physical plane. The term extradimensional and interdimensional was recently incorporated in addition to the multidimensional to help us better describe the source of reptilian invasions that this planet has been subjugated to. And many people, when at various stages in considering this terminology in regards to learning about exopolitical agendas, such as the negative entity agenda, have a very challenging time mentally comprehending how the invasion transpired because they cannot comprehend the multidimensional consciousness. So, in the early stages of being introduced to the negative entity agenda, even people that are very familiar and comfortable with the UFO and ET movement have a difficult time grounding this fact of multidimensional consciousness and potentially even shapeshifting as being convincing reality of how the control mechanism on Earth is kept in place. The majority are still not seeing the underlying mechanisms of control from the global elites and believe that the crimes against humanity are related to human error and human cause and effect alone. This particularly it's partially accurate, yes, and but heavily misunderstood, especially within a lot of New Age circles. Most people, when getting introduced to the idea of the negative entity agenda, will ask the questions. Well, if we've been infiltrated or invaded, if our government is controlled by this alien force, why can I not see it with my visible sight where it is? Because people are programmed, mind controlled, and are unable to perceive multi-dimensional realities. And with heavy mind control, it's difficult for the brain chemistry pattern to see blaring signs hidden in plain sight everywhere in human society. Human beings have adopted and progressed into an alien controlled or an anti human society and have been tricked to believe it's organic and based on human free will and self determination. Well, it's not. Some of us are breaking free of these shackles and coming into our own, like our community, like Watchers Talk community. We're alleviating ourselves from that equation, which in turn is empowering us and giving us the ability to see these emanations in plain sight, which is why we go through this information. It's imperative. That's what a true awakening starts with. Seeing these anti-human, societal, not supposed to be norms becoming normalified and blatantly out in front of us, and people not picking up on them. When you are starting to wake up, you see them. They become right in front of you, and they become something you can't unsee after it's gone through. And this is why, again, this is imperative stuff. We're waking those up as we go along. And this information is all essentially hitting that red pill. But eventually you're going to get to that black pill. And that black pill is the multidimensional self, right? So when we understand that we are multidimensional, interdimensional, all of it, we become empowered in that moment alone, right? And there's more to it after that. So let us keep going here. So, as a means to explain and understand this negative agenda, these entities and the forces that incorporate are extra dimensional and interdimensional. They do not source from the visible light spectrum. So, most people have a hard time grasping that concept as what they cannot see in visible light, the eyesight. They have a hard time understanding its state of existence beyond the third dimension of physical matter. Now, us being this community are past that point, right? We see them for what they are. We see them in plain sight. We see them for all of their disgracefulness, right? That's what we're talking about. So the negative aliens operate in and are from extra dimensional realities. They project their consciousness body in and out of multiple dimensions. They are sourcing their control outside from human sight and controlling what humans can see within the visible light spectrum through holographic inserts and their off planet technologies, right? So there's direct forces of mind control, enslavement, and alien machinery to serve their parasitic nature and build their replicates, right? We know replicates as clones, programs, all of it. So, as we know, they are bullies, elitists, and war strategists. And their main concern is to rule others and to serve, have those people serve them, as well as provide energetic siphoning. So the negative entities operate extra dimensionally and travel interdimensionally to control matter forms in the lower dimensions, which make up the three-dimensional or third density Earth reality. Most of them are not capable to live on the surface for long periods of time, and they do not physically occupy this space. If they do, it's for short periods with precise measurements. Humans occupy this space and are not aware of these extra dimensional forces controlling the everybody extra dimensionally. And humans and these aliens both simultaneously exist multidimensionally. The capacity to exist in the multiple spaces of time, except many humans still have that God spark, which allows them to connect to the organic timelines and not the replicate timelines of which the negative entities are forced to live in, which means their capacity of multidimensionality is inferior to humans and based on their genetic template. They hate us for knowing that and even saying that. And they themselves, it's not true, but it is true, right? They like to say that. They say they created us and it's hogwash. They genetically messed with us, and that is hardly a manifest creation. They desire to destroy the capacity of that God spark attainment and the organic timelines, which they cannot access, and have been working that agenda for specifically the last 10,000 years, but for a longer period than that, through hands of which they were directly connected, of probably about 27,000 years, and probably further than that out, right? So, in these definitions, humans and ETs are capable of multidimensional intelligence. And even though the spectrum of the multi density capacity is extremely varied, the negative entities cannot connect to an organic timeline. They can only destroy it through leeching onto and into and sucking out of all of the quantic fields of its mass of energy. So when they do that, they destroy the time fields and the future probabilities based on the fact of the consciousness of humans, right? And these humans are majority of enslaved and spiritually oppressed. And if we do not access our multidimensionality and align to the organic fields, they can consume them at that time. So clearly, that's why they don't want us comprehending these facts, right? So naturally, this is a directive of the forces of our higher selves in heaven, that both human and non human, that are stopping this destructive result of such actions. And it's harmful to not only the earth and her creatures, but a lot of other worlds as well, right? So, one of the things I did was, from this point, we're going to talk about star origins because it's a part of the multidimensional spectrum. Now, it's not just Earth who resides on this multidimensional spectrum, it's a lot of other entities that reside out there, some of which are for team community and some of which are not. Now, each individual entity that resides out there lives in an area or a shade of gray, as we call it, and their agendas play primary master to their actions. So we have to understand that. Now, while a race can be perceived as good, it may not always be that way if their agenda says something different. This is like all of the people who have been worshiping the Anunnaki as of late. There is something we're going to talk about in a little bit, that essentially this is a play on humanity. Whether it's one or the other, it's a psyop. It's a psyop, guaranteed, because these entities had dominion over us for so long. And if they were really benevolent, they would have given us freedom a long time ago and not held us under their thumbs forever and a day. So for them to come back now and say that they're team humanity, I can't agree with that. Now, I'm not telling you what to believe. You can side with it, you can do whatever you'd like with it, right? But this is something that shows you that there is an agenda at play. Now, what if that agenda is for them to go away for a while and come back? And the whole ruse is now they're going to say that they're on our side so that they can keep those clamps of control on. Humanity doesn't need a lending hand from anybody. Humanity has its own to do all of the dirty work that needs to be done to liberate the entire planet. Now, again, this planet isn't a prison planet. While humanity might be enslaved, it's not a prison planet. This is a hospital planet. This is an ark ship planet. We are here to maintain balance within the entirety of the universe. Every genetical code that resides far and wide across these stars is held in this planetary existence. Whether it's in Earth, Gaia, or Terra, doesn't matter. So that's what we're going to put that as right now. So let's keep going because there's a lot to get into, and we're only about halfway there. So next is star origins, right? This is a little bit of a section that's going to be talking about the breakdown of who and what we are in comparison to the peoples of the stars. So we are harmonic beings. And when there are certain distortions to the harmonic layers that get in the way of further consciousness expansion, we have to move through that resistance and its blockages in order to get into the next frequency or harmonic level. So, in terms of this as an embodiment level, most humans do not have the capacity to be a stargate portal because they have not done their individual light body work to overcome the miastic resistance and its um, complications with the dead light, right? Or relieving of the dead light. So beyond that, the next level of evolution would be that inside your body is a remote controller interface to the planetary body and then to the subsequent layers of expanding outward, which was called the universal body. So as you begin to heal your body consciousness, one may move into the planetary level and now beyond, working with the human individual ego. So everything is experienced as a collective group inside your body consciousness. And your body is not directed by ego drives. This experience, as one starts to come into the collective human race fields, is called healing work, which is at the planetary logo level. And then you start embodying the work, and this work within the layers are the larger planetary energies and those forces related to that. So star seeds and indigos have that contract that our group body may be used at this level of supporting planetary evolution to transmute the larger collective human race imprints. This is why or what many galactic beings on the planet have been working with the specific healing and repair of the holographic dead light or distortions or damage that are part of the collective human race matrix, so that the whole soul matrices have tremendous amounts of distortions or damage of all kinds of genetic imbalances at that level. And this has been part of the healing of the planetary body, thus far, our bodies as well. They are similar in the healing process, our body and the planetary body. One who reaches the levels and one who reaches the planetary interface is one who is also interfacing with the planet stargates, grid systems, and vortices or vortexes. And there's an influence and impact to the collective field when one does so. So originally, you could have access to leave the planetary stargate system, and this was the original ascension plan, right? That was that we would be able to move into the inner stargate portals of the inner earth once we came into an ascended body, and we would merge with the planetary logos or laws as we became part of that consciousness. But such did not work out. So now we're on a ascension plan B, which is the individual ascension. Because as a collective, we couldn't achieve it because of the infiltration and the damage. So, because the stargates had been closed for various issues and conflicts around 2004, the decision was made for Ascension Plan B because Stargate portals were too compromised to repair as an exit point. So the tremendous amount of attempts to repair and get Stargates were to get the majority of them out of the hands of the controllers who were threatening pole shifts and messing with the trajectory of the sun and the astral plane. So the decision was made to move or made to go forward with the second plan of ascension, which is Ascension Plan B, which required different pathways of time to the inner worlds. So right now we're working towards the next level, and this information was on a need to know basis. But now we've seen new development, that is the star seeds and the walk ins that are embodying the star seed genetics And many of us have contracts and agreed because the planet Stargate was not operational, but now is. And we've been working on creating these hubs or interface links from this system and out. And we didn't have to have an interface system, it was like a one way communication link. So, this is talking about the incarnation process as well, which is part of what we're going to talk about in the next slide, which is the last slide for this evening. But I hope that this is resonating with everybody and you feel it within yourself that what we're talking about here is something that we're expanding past now, right? The gates have been opened. It's time for us to ascend to our potential, which is why we're going back to basics right now and exploring what that evolved information has given us from past episodes to what we're at now by going over those fundamentals again. And we could put two and two together to equal four, not five, not six. We're not doing common core here. We're talking about math and evolution, right? But evolution in a way that's spiritual, not physical, like Darwin's theory of evolution. There is something greater inside of us that is meant to connect to something even greater than that. And when we all connect all of those facets together, we become part of the greater whole. And then we see our truest potentials and our contracts as well. So let us keep going. So the one way link was where souls could incarnate in this reality tank, but could not get beyond the wall of time. So you could be a human in a 3D body and you could decide to pass on or to move on to the astral plane, but it meant you were consistently in the reincarnation wheel or born back into a lower form of worlds of creation. No one was able to ascend outside of the wall of time or the wall in time. And this is what the Guardians had been attempting to get us to understand about ourselves, that human ascension is not about going to the astral plane. Human ascension is about having full Stargate portal passage and to take your human form and materialize into another universe entirely or transconfiguration. And they're saying, look, you're not these small little beings you think you are. You are a 12-dimensional simultaneous time avatar. And the human race has the potential ability to have God consciousness and the 12 levels of simultaneous experience, which is all 12 densities and dimensions that we know about. So basically, if we want to leave the kiddie pool and take responsibility for ourselves, we can have the keys to the kingdom. And all this time in recorded written history, since the reptilian invasion 5,000 years ago in Egypt, we have been given misinformation about the true grandeur and history of the human race. We have been lied to about our origin and what and who we really are. We've been cut off from the stellar history as star beings connecting to the stars. And this is where we lay this presentation down this evening. So, what we're going to do in the next 7 to 8 episodes is it's going to go over each of those densities again, not just in a symbolic nature, but how that relates to your light body right now, right? And how all of these representations of densities are brought about by specific points in the chakra network, in the specific points of the auric field, but also in specific points of the universal matrix. So we're going to go in deep. And when we come out on the other side of this little mini series of these 8 episodes, you are going to be an absolute powerhouse of understanding and how reality works around you and how your multidimensional self engages within that reality around you. Therefore, once you are in the understanding of it, you will be able to use this force towards the goals to be met of the community and yourself to get to that higher echelon of potential. This is what we're set here to do, to learn, to experience. Now we're going to be able to put a finger on the entire multidimensional pulse, right? And this is something you have to want to do this. I'm not asking anybody to come back and do exactly what I say, because there are infinite paths to the one road that leads to the higher self, which in turn leads to source. So we're going to explore one of those paths of understanding, because it may resonate with you and it may give you the ability to reach the higher echelons of who you are and what the energy around you is doing to manifest the next steps of your reality. So I wanted to keep this at what it was, as just sort of an introduction, sort of a defining moment and where the next few episodes are going to go. Please share this out. Like, share, subscribe. This is given freely with love and admiration for all of you. Please leave a comment when this is finished, because by us sharing and giving this out, we don't know the ripple effect of how many people we're going to help and liberate on this planet from the shackles of these invading forces as we speak right now. We want to give everybody a chance at their own potential. So please share this, comment on it, spread love, right? And we have membership open. Again, membership is for people who want to engage in some of the workshops we do, supporting this channel. All proceeds between that and the super chats, which are open as well, go back into this information and gives us the ability to get behind paywalls and get more and greater avenues of information, but also to excel and get platforms so we can really contrive, explore, and give this information back. So I hope everybody found some usefulness out of tonight's episode. I love you all. This is only going to be about a 40-minute, 45-minute episode. And I hope everybody has a great evening. I will see you back in a couple days with the first installment of this mini series. It's going to be called The Fundamentals of Who You Are, because we are all one and the same, but we all have a unique individual signature within that energetic field. So, with all that being said, please like, share, subscribe, leave a comment. I love you. I'm so glad to see everybody here. King of Kings, I haven't seen you in a while. Ricky Lee, Jay Rocco, Omar, Andromedan, Prince, Edgar, Shannon. If I missed you, Pamela, Andromedan, everybody's here tonight. I love you all so much. Thank you for your support. And remember, we are in a crisis point right now. We're in the battle for our lives. This is a spiritual war, and we are already in the lead. We're going to take that lead home and bring everybody with us. So, with all that being said, I love you all. We'll see you all next time. Have a great night.